Hey, so glad you're here. Tonight we've got an interesting topic that I'd like to share with you some thoughts, hopefully inspire some thoughts on your part, some action you can take on freedom. What does it mean to you? State change, how that relates to freedom, freedom of expression, and mind control. All in 30 minutes or less. For those of you who are not familiar with myself or my work, please allow me to introduce myself. Basically, for the past 46 years, nearly 5 decades, I've been helping people take command of their lives, take charge, take control of their lives from the inside out. By helping people through dynamic meditation exercises, this incredible program called the Silva Method, where we learn to change our state, change our level of awareness, get into what some have identified as a flow state, activate intuition, and navigate life more effectively. So how's that for an intro? Anyway, let's take a look at our topic tonight, and I hope you find this intriguing as I have. In the past, not quite month, I've been working on several books, and one of them, this book, Stealing Fire. Have you seen it? It's by Stephen Kotler and Jamie Wheel. Fascinating, fascinating book. I'm really, really enjoying it. I'm finding I read a few pages at a time, maybe 10 pages, and then I stop and think about it. Maybe I'm a little bit biased because many of the people, many of the researchers they're mentioning in this book, like John Lilly, I actually studied with back in the very early 1970s. And I heard some backstory that I never knew about John Lilly and his work in the Pentagon and the military attempting to weaponize, because he was teaching people how to alter their state of consciousness through sensory deprivation. Maybe you've experienced those float tanks. Another work, he was a neuroscientist, quite a pioneer, and I had really the privilege, the honor to, I didn't know him personally, but I had to study with him. And then, from my point of view, he kind of disappeared. Well, in the book they tell the backstory, which is a whole nother topic of what happened, because he's truly a good guy. They also go into some other research to do with ecstasy, this wonderful state of ecstasy that we achieve when we're meditating, when we're experiencing the jogger's high or the runner's high, when we are experiencing tremendous joy and laughter. And they give quite a few references, life hacks, if you will, of how to get into that state. And of course, there are references to drugs, pharmacology, such as MDMA, on the street known as ecstasy or X, LSD. Back when I started in the early 70s, I had the pleasure to meet people like Dr. Andrew Weil, to read a lot about William James and his work, and Timothy Leary, of course. And there's a whole slew, whole group, gang, if you will, of people who were, some of them psychiatrists, scientists, exploring altered states of consciousness in the hopes of understanding the subconscious, in the hopes of understanding better treatment protocols that they could develop as a result for psychoses, neuroses, etc. And if you know any of the background, and I don't know your background or your interest in this, this is not about, obviously, the drugs, because most of them left that scene because they found that it was overpowering. It took control. And they were not able to assert themselves with control, with awareness, and it became dangerous. And there were side effects. And it's another whole topic. But the fact remains that what I'm finding fascinating, and maybe you will too, again, I'm loving this book, Stealing Fire, for that, is when you and I achieve, however we get there, this whatever life hack we're using to get into this altered state of consciousness that's not governed by logic, not governed by reasoning, not governed by the laws of science as we know them today, because, as I've noted, for past 50 years, science has been changing drastically. And when I first started, a lot of what we were doing, I consider myself a pioneer. I wasn't a conscious pioneer because I got involved in Silva because it felt good, because I was introduced by a friend, and my gut said I found what I'd always been looking for, but I didn't know what I found. And I went from flunking out of college to straight A's. I graduated cum laude, just about straight A's, by using what I learned in the Silva Method, by applying practical dynamic meditation skills. I emphasize the word practical because if you've ever meditated with TM, fantastic program, very well researched. Any kind of meditation, yoga, or getting into this state can be beneficial for our health, for our well-being, as we all know. However, many people say, well, there's got to be something more to it. Let me just adjust this a little bit. Something more. And that's where dynamic meditation comes in. It's a tool where you can employ mental rehearsal, creative visualization, making declarations or positive affirmations integrated with visualization, elevating your emotion in such a way that you can literally, we now know, fact, rewire the brain and develop new neural pathways. So we can truly get rid of, if you're willing to do the work, old patterns of behaviors that no longer serve our highest good, and create new habits and get on automatic, eventually autopilot, with enough repetition. Now, if you're a Silva Method practitioner or you follow any of the protocols or tools or life hacks of meditation, you're perhaps familiar with this. However, when we are in this state of awareness, it's really an opportunity to come up with ideas. So for you entrepreneurs, salespeople, building a business, coaches, people who want to make a difference and need some ideas, strategies, need to break through current technology, what science tells us is possible, which often is proved wrong in the not too distant future, because right now, that's how science works, and it's necessary. However, when we're in this state, like when we're dreaming at night, we're in this altered state, subconscious. When we achieve this altered state of awareness, we are accessing a stream of consciousness. And if we can maintain our conscious awareness, stay awake, we can often solve problems, come up with solutions, ideas, can often innovate. In fact, so many artists, musicians, scientists, medical people, authors of books, serial entrepreneurs who have created these huge empires for themselves will often refer to what? Being in a meditative state or in a dream state or daydreaming, going for a walk, hiking, whatever it is, and coming up with an idea, $1 million idea, a breakthrough to science that saves lives. It's another whole topic, and I don't want to really belabor that, but the information's there, the research is there for many, 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 many decades, in fact, probably eons of time. Individuals, for one reason or another, have gotten into this higher state of awareness, this what some have called the authentic self, this altered state that's not held back by science today, not held back by the laws of logic, which again are necessary, but if we're truly to innovate and reform, we need to step out of that. And that's what, there's so many books written about it, so many dialogues about it, and what in particular I'm enjoying about Stealing Fire, because they're talking about Navy SEALs, Marine Corps training, Pentagon officials, Burning Man, which I had heard of, but honestly, I never really knew what it was. I know it's been around for 20 years, but I never really paid attention. I thought it was just a big, like, Lollapalooza, a big Woodstock event. And there is a lot of music, and there are a lot of drugs, and there is a lot of partying. But I never realized the likes of billionaires, entrepreneurs, Pentagon officials, heads of state that show up, and they have their own private gatherings because the whole experience, apparently, causes people to enter into an altered state of awareness. My point is, and here's a takeaway, if you can control that, and if you can navigate it consciously, you are on the fringe of being able to come with ideas. And that's their point. They're looking for ideas. They're looking for new information. They're looking for breakthroughs. They're looking for innovations. They're looking for, whether it be in technology or what have you. This is not really new because, again, the information, artists, musicians, writers, etc., with that. So the point, though, let me just put on my readers for a moment, because I took a couple of notes. I wanted to make some clear points about this with respect to this. Is some of the other life hacks could be adventure seeking, thrill sports, adventure sports, with this high risk, like climbing Mount Kilimanjaro, climbing, rock climbing or ice climbing or high-speed driving and so on and so forth. I mean, the thrill. Because what's interesting is in mapping the brain, thanks to fMRIs and thanks to all the advancements in brain science, in mapping what happens literally, what's the neurochemistry, what's the neurobiology when one is meditating, by the way, underscore that, or adventure seeking, or having one of those moments of excellence, or ingesting certain recreational drugs like MDMA or others that might cause one to alter their state. The neurobiology is very similar. And they've been mapping the brain and finding that there are many ways, or in an emotional state, whether it be a traumatic state or a high, joyful state. There are many similarities between the brain producing not just dopamine and serotonin, but also things like oxytocin and norepinephrine and other of the brain chemicals that put us into a high, yes, I did say a high, feeling good. One of the things I love about meditation is I've been practicing dynamic meditation since 1971. And in my current experience, and actually for quite a long time, when I get into that state, it feels so good. I don't want to come out. My whole body's tingling from the tip of my head to my toes. How about you? Have you had that experience? And if I have any kind of ache or pain or discomfort in my body, or the beginnings of a cold, a virus, or, some sort of sickness coming, bam, it's gone. And now, thanks to medical science and neuroscience, we know, because we've boosted the immune system in that state. We're in homeostasis, balance, which accelerates the healing in the body for that. And yet, it's a state where you can truly affect lasting change in your life. Check out my Trust Your Intuition Academy. I've got some really cool dynamic meditations, guided meditations, which are a lot easier. You might find them really helpful and useful. In fact, I know you will if you actually work with them. However, the next point, though, we talked about today, freedom. So, for example, I know I jumped in, really quick because I'm really excited about this. But I also want to say part of freedom is, and I want to say this being in the U.S., 4th of July, celebration of independence, we really need to honor and appreciate the men and women, the first responders, the men and women who serve us in the military, the first responders, and all those courageous people. They're really the heroes who are there for us to help us when there's tragedy, when we have horrific events and cataclysmic events in the environment, or wars, or protecting our freedoms, and so on and so forth. Really, these people are so cool, and God bless you men and women for that. And freedom is not just a physical expression, because if you look at what's going on today and all the uncertainty and all the misinformation and what now they're calling fake news, well, fake news is really not a new idea. We have been, with due respect to the media, but there's been so much misinformation on the internet, even on Google. When you do a Google search, vet it, double check, triple check. And the news media, who do you really believe? There's so much information there that's being used to what? Manipulate us emotionally, to distract us from what maybe we really need to pay attention to. So freedom is really, as far as I'm concerned, an inside game more than anything. So we can be locked up, as many a soldier who's been locked away in a concentration camp, or a prison. I went blank for a moment. There are other terms for it, but you know what I mean. How they have prevented being brainwashed by controlling their thoughts and by distracting their mind and not paying attention to what was going on, by keeping their mind occupied. It takes a high level of skill, by the way, and mastering that switch. But the point is, when you have that kind of control internally of our state, it's the one great freedom that no one can ever take away from us, and that is the freedom to choose our thoughts, the freedom to choose our perspective, the freedom to choose how we think, which affects our whole physiology and affects our emotions, because then it affects our physiology and the results we get in our lives. So part of the discussion also, we look at freedom, we said, and state change, is there are a number of books talking about who ultimately will control the switch. Because the way virtual reality is and the way technology is advancing at such a hyper speed, there are now technological apps. Yes, apps. There are things that can be done. In fact, marketing people, it's called neuromarketing. Since the mid to early 2000s, I remember New York Times did a big piece on it, neuromarketing. Because now in mapping the brain and understanding how we think and what motivates us and what are the triggers of our emotions that get us to act, take action, and or to respond, and or to buy. And that's the flip side of the technology. Technology is so cool, and the advances are helping us in so many ways, and are going to help make us live longer and a more sustainable future, and improve the environment, and have natural, healthy alternatives to energy, and so on and so forth. The flip side, though, is who controls the switch, because in understanding what motivates us, and this, by the way, is something that in the later chapter, Stealing Fire, brings out, which I so resonate with, because they'd use the term mind control, meaning, being controlled, being, brainwashed from their point of view, which I think is a myth, and I think also is a misunderstanding, because our program, when I first started, was called Silva, S-I-L-V-A, mind control, meaning self-control, self-awareness. And when we look at the flip side of understanding our emotions and neuromarketing and neuroscience and understanding what really gets us going, in the wrong hands, yes, indeed, it can be used to manipulate us. It can be used, indeed, to get us to buy things that we have no need for, or not ready for, and really maybe can't even afford. That's the danger, the risk for that. So there are marketing people who are very conscious. There are marketing people who are heart-centered. There are marketing people who would warn us of that. FOMO, fear of missing out, scarcity. These are emotional manipulations. Be aware of it. And that's my hope in this video, to just be conscious of it, guys. I know when you look at myself, my marketing, it leaves a lot to be desired. The whole Silva Method organization, but marketing leaves a lot to be desired. We're very conservative. I've always been conservative and been told you should promise more. But I've never been prone to that kind of emotional manipulation. I've never been prone to exaggerating like that. I don't like it. It just doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel authentic, to me. And that, to me, in my heart, is what mind control is all about. And the late, great Jose Silva, in starting this, that was his intention, to help awaken people to who we are, to the truth of who you are in this world, in this universe, your capabilities, your human potential. And with awareness, self-awareness, and with the skills to manage this awareness, you can truly control your own life, your own destiny, truly take command, take control, take charge of your life. I'm not going to kid you. It's not an easy task. It takes skill. It takes practice. But it is indeed a current reality, and has been for millions of people all over the planet in nearly 100 countries where we've brought our program since 1966. But this is not meant to talk about Silva, although it's hard for me not to, because I think it's such a cool methodology. The proprietary knowledge in the meditations we guide, the dynamic meditations, in training to people to develop their intuition. Because a lot of what that's about is getting to the truth, getting to what really is serving our highest good, if you will. And that's really, guys, why I'm here. People often say, why, how in the world can, I started when I was 20. I'm now, it's going to be 66 this year. So it's over 46 years for me doing this work. And I am so privileged and so honored by you. You honor me with your presence. Thank you. Please share this. If you're watching the replay with friends, let people know. I hope they get really good value, because I'm hoping that this is a wake-up call, for people to be aware that we need to take command, take control. Excuse the phone. It slipped my mind to unplug it. Duh. I was outside, nice and quiet, and could not get Facebook Live to operate, and then I came indoors. I couldn't get it to operate on my computer, so I switched to my phone, and interestingly enough, it's working seemingly perfectly on the phone. Funny how that goes. Anyway, guys, mind control. Guiding people to take command of their lives by what? Controlling your own thoughts, controlling your own mind, controlling your own impulses, and being consciously aware. So it begins with self-awareness, understanding your responses, your reactions, what motivates you, what you think, what's going on, and awareness to the environment and what's going on in the environment, or people, saying, doing, tools that maybe they're utilizing, right? And then we need what? Skills to manage those tools. And that's what mind control is all about with that. So I hope you find this stimulating some thought. What I'd like you to do is I'd like you to please do me a favor, make some comments. I'd like to hear. I want to develop more and be more consistent. I haven't been. I've been periodically doing some live. I'm working on creating some more videos and some content. So I'd really, really appreciate the favor if you'd give me some comments below and let me know what you'd like to hear more about. I've got such a wealth of knowledge and information. I've been studying. I've been an avid student since 1971 and a teacher of this methodology. I've traveled the world to 27 different countries, and many of them repeatedly. I've worked with so many different cultures. I've been studying neuroscience and hypnosis and meditation and positive psychology and all the, I keep up with it. And I'd like to be able to take that information and share it in a practical way. So the second thing is, if you find this of relevance, and you think there are others who could benefit, please share this with others. Check it out. And if you want to find out more, check out my Silva Method of Connecticut website or trustyourintuitionacademy.com and get some more tools, some more information with that. So thanks so much for being here. And again, take action. Ask questions. And that's the other takeaway. I want you to ask questions. And when you read something on Facebook or you Google something, check it out. Double check, triple check, vet it. Be certain, because things are not always what they appear to be. So it's up to you and I to find out. So thanks again, guys, and have a great one.